My parents told me, "You're not family, just a wallet." Dad said it when I asked why I wasn't invited to my niece's birthday again. My aunt chimed in, "We're fine without you." So I stopped paying their mortgage. The party went on until the repo truck showed up. I stared at the confirmation screen. Your recurring payment of $3 to $1,000, $6 to $100 has been canceled. I didn't cry. I didn't feel rage. I just felt quiet. I opened a new spreadsheet and did the math. 24 months, $3,006 to $100 a month. That's $86,004 to $100. But it wasn't just money. It was the trip to Japan with Kellen, my boyfriend, the one I canceled, because Dad just needed a little more help to cover the property taxes that month. It was the down payment I was saving for my own apartment, now sitting in his lakefront dock. It was my beat-up car, the one I keep driving because a new car payment felt irresponsible when my family's legacy was on the line. I wasn't just paying for a house, I was funding a lifestyle I was apparently not qualified to participate in, only to underwrite. I finally understood it. It's the classic good daughter trap. I see it so clearly now. My whole life, I was programmed to be the fixer. My sister Megan was the creative one, the dreamer. I was the responsible one, the doer. And I see that word for what it really is now. Responsible is just a polite term for exploitable. My value was never tied to who I was, only what I could provide. I wasn't a daughter. I was a function. I was a line item in my father's budget. And when I stopped performing that function, I stopped existing. After I canceled the payment, the silence from my family was deafening. For 48 hours, nothing. It was the digital equivalent of being shunned. It was the calm before the storm. Then the storm hit. My phone, which had been silent for my niece's birthday, started exploding. Not from the numbers I'd blocked Richard, Megan, and Susan, but from new ones. Unknown numbers, mutual friends. My voicemail box filled up in an hour. The first message I played was from my Aunt Susan, her voice trembling with manufactured righteousness. "Olivia, your mother would be ashamed of you. Richard is your father. You can't just abandon him over a small disagreement. You are tearing this family apart. They always bring up my mother when they want leverage. Funny how she's more useful to them now than when she was alive." Then came the email from my father, Richard. The subject line just said, "What you've done." It was a long, rambling paragraph of self-pity and blame, ending with the one line that was supposed to crack me. "I raised you. I fed you. I gave you everything. How can you do this to me?" I stared at that line. I raised you. And that's when I had the clearest thought of my life. It wasn't an emotional breakdown. It was a moment of pure, cold clarity. All those years of "I did this for you, I provided for you," those weren't acts of love. They were invoices. They were receipts for services I never asked for. Raising your child is a duty, not a high-interest loan you get to call in 30 years later. This wasn't a family. This was just accounting. And I was finally auditing the books. But Megan, my sister, the influencer, she took it to the place she lives, social media. She posted a perfectly curated black and white photo of herself and Dad looking sad by the lake. The caption was a masterpiece of passive aggression. So heartbroken. It's sad when some people value money more than family and memories. Please pray for us as we navigate this unexpected and difficult time. The comments poured in. "Stay strong, Megan family," is everything. I can't imagine how someone could be so cruel. She was painting me as the villain for stopping payment on the very lifestyle she was using to build her brand. They weren't just ungrateful. They were strategic. And I realized I had to be too. I thought the public social media post was the lowest they'd go. I was wrong. That was just the appetizer. The main course arrived 3 days later in the form of a GoFundMe link sent to me by a horrified mutual friend. The title was "Help Us Save Our Family Legacy." The picture was a high-resolution, professionally edited photo of my father Richard looking weathered and sad standing with my niece Sophia by the lake. The goal was $25,000. And the story. The story was a masterpiece of fiction. Megan, the mommy influencer, had really outdone herself. It talked about our father, a hard-working man facing unexpected financial hardship after losing his job. He didn't lose his job. He chose to retire early. It talked about their desperate fight to save the home his late beloved wife had cherished, the home that was his only connection to her memory. Nowhere in the entire sob story did it mention the $86,400 I had already paid. Nowhere did it mention the backup fund. It was just a story of a poor, grieving widower being crushed by a cold, unfeeling bank. It made me physically ill. The audacity, the sheer calculated deception. They weren't just lying to friends, they were committing fraud. The donations were already rolling in, $500 from an old neighbor, $100 from someone at their church. The comments were sickening. "Praying for you, Richard, Megan. Your family is so strong. We're happy to help." They were monetizing their lies. I felt that cold, clinical click in my brain again. This was no longer just a family dispute. This was a different level. I was done being angry. I was ready to be strategic. I scrolled through my contacts, past the blocked numbers of my immediate family, and found a name I hadn't called in years, Donna. Donna was my mother's cousin, a 59-year-old accountant with a spine made of steel. The family always called her difficult and too harsh about money, which I now realized was code, for she can't be manipulated. She picked up on the second ring. "Olivia! This is a surprise." Her voice was exactly as I remembered, dry, no nonsense. "Hi, Donna. I need some advice. I think I've been incredibly stupid." I told her everything. The 24 months of payments, the $3,000 to $600, the TikTok video, the backup fund, the smear campaign, and finally the GoFundMe. There was a long, heavy silence on the other end of the line. I could just hear her breathing. I waited, half expecting her to tell me I was a fool. Finally, she just said one thing. "Olivia, you're not stupid. You were groomed." The word hit me like a splash of ice water. "Your father and your aunt," she said, her voice turning hard. "They did the exact same thing to my brother 20 years ago. Different context, same playbook. You're not the first. You're just the latest. Now tell me, what do you want to do about it?" I gave Donna the go-ahead. I didn't want apologies anymore. I wanted accountability. Donna, being the master accountant she is, didn't just send a letter. She hired an attorney. A formal cease and desist was drafted and delivered via certified mail to my father Richard and my sister Megan. The letter was polite, professional, and absolutely lethal. It demanded the immediate removal of the fraudulent GoFundMe campaign and a full cessation of all contact harassment and third-party communications. And the best part, it also formally requested a complete financial accounting for all expenses related to the lake house for the past 24 months. The GoFundMe page was gone within 3 hours. The harassing calls, the emails, the messages from unknown numbers, they all stopped. Everything went dead silent. It was the kind of heavy, suffocating quiet that comes right before a lightning strike. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was Donna. Her voice wasn't triumphant. It was cold. "Olivia," she said, "I had a feeling, so I did some digging into public records. I needed to confirm something I've suspected for a long time." I waited. "The story I told you about my uncle," she said, "wasn't the full story. Richard pulled the same thing on me." My stomach tightened. "What are you talking about?" "In 2010, he had this brilliant idea for some tech startup. He needed a co-signer on a business loan. I told him no, repeatedly. I'm an accountant. I knew a bad investment when I saw one." She paused, and I could hear the click of her keyboard. "Then a year later, I get a call from a collections agency, a defaulted loan. $50,000. He had somehow gotten my Social Security number, and he forged my signature. I couldn't breathe, Donna. It took me 2 years and thousands of dollars in legal fees to fight it in court and prove it was forgery," she said, her voice flat, devoid of all emotion. "But the damage was done. It absolutely destroyed my credit for 7 years. 7 years. All because your father does not like to be told no." This wasn't just irresponsibility. This wasn't just entitlement. This was a pattern. This was criminal. "I'm telling you this," she said, "so you understand exactly who you are dealing with. He is not a sad old man grieving his wife. He is a predator, and he always has been." I was silent, just processing the sheer darkness of it. "But that's not even why I called, Donna," said her voice somehow getting even colder. "What?" "The GoFundMe, the unexpected hardship, the struggling to get by. While you were paying $86,400 to save the legacy, Richard was busy building his own. I ran a public records check. 3 months ago, he bought something. Financed it, of course." I waited. "A brand new ski boat. The boat from the TikTok video, the centerpiece of their perfect happy family party. He financed it," Donna continued, "and he's already missed the last 2 payments. The finance company is actively looking for it." I stared at my wall. The hypocrisy was so staggering, so complete. It was almost perfect. It was the missing piece of the puzzle. They weren't just taking my money to survive. They were taking my money to thrive. They were using my sacrifice as fuel for their luxury. I didn't feel anger. I felt clarity, the kind of clarity that cuts glass. They had just handed me the weapon. "Donna," I said, my voice low and steady, "do you happen to know the name of that finance company? 30 days passed. The bank's final notices had been sent. The foreclosure auction for the lake house was scheduled for the next morning." The air felt thin like the moment before a thunderstorm breaks. I was expecting a final desperate plea, but the silence was absolute. The cease and desist letter had apparently terrified them. Until 9 p.m., there wasn't a call. There was a frantic, desperate banging on my apartment door. Not a knock, a pounding. I looked through the peephole. It was my Aunt Susan looking like a ghost. Her hair was a mess, her face pale, her eyes wide with a terrifying raw panic I had never seen before. "Olivia, I know you're in there. Open this door, please," she shrieked, her voice cracking. I didn't open the door. I unlatched the deadbolt, but kept the chain on opening it just 3 inches. A slice of her desperate face was all I was willing to see. "We can talk right here, Susan," I said. My voice was calm. It was amazing how calm I felt. "Please," she sobbed, pressing her face to the gap. "Please, they're taking the house tomorrow. Richard is destroyed. He'll lose everything." I just looked at her. "We just need $10,000, she whispered, her eyes darting around. "That's it, just 10,000. You have it, Olivia. I know you do. You can stop this. It's your mother's house." "No," I said. She recoiled as if I'd slapped her. No? What do you mean, no? This is your father. The house is being foreclosed on because Richard stopped paying the mortgage. I said, my voice as flat as a balance sheet. He had 24 months to figure it out. He had the last 30 days to get a loan. He chose not to. He couldn't, she screamed. That forgery thing. Donna ruined his credit. This is her fault. This is your fault. He ruined his own credit, Susan. And he bought a ski boat. The color drained from her face. She finally understood I knew everything. Her anger evaporated, replaced by pure, pathetic pleading. Please, Olivia, I'm begging you. $10,000. Don't let this happen. Don't be so cold. Cold. I almost laughed. You all called me a backup fund. You excluded me. You lied about me. You ran a fraudulent fundraiser. You didn't want a family member. You wanted an ATM. And this ATM is closed. I pushed the door shut. The chain caught. I hope you can live with yourself, she screamed through the wood. I latched the deadbolt. The click echoed in the hallway. I already am, I whispered. The next day, the lake house was sold at auction to a development company. The legacy was gone. I thought that would be the end of it. But the universe demanded a finale. 1 week later, I was on my couch with Kellen, finally breathing. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Donna. You might want to check Megan's Instagram right now. I pulled up the app. Megan was on Instagram Live. The title, Fresh Start New Beginnings Party. She was on a boat, the ski boat. It was docked at a busy public marina, music playing drinks in hand. My father Richard was there laughing. They were surrounded by friends. It's been so hard, you guys, Megan said to her phone, her voice full of that fake influencer vocal fry. But we're staying positive. We're all about moving forward. And we're so grateful for our real friends who've been here for us. I watched, mesmerized by the sheer shameless audacity of it. They'd lost the house, but they were still trying to sell the lifestyle. Then through the background of her video, a man in a uniform walked onto the dock. He was holding a clipboard. He walked straight up to my father. Megan's smile faltered. She turned the camera slightly. I think we have to. 1 second, guys. She didn't end the stream. We could hear the man's voice clear and professional. Are you Richard, last name? Yeah, what's this about? My father said, annoyed. Sir, I'm here on behalf of the finance company. We have a repossession order for this 2023 ski boat. You are 3 months delinquent on your payments. Megan's face froze. The music was still playing. The live comments started flooding in. Wait, what repo? I thought they were raising money. My father's voice rose. You can't do that. This is a party. This is private property. Sir, this is a public dock, the repo man said, completely unfazed. He signaled to a tow truck that was now backing down the boat ramp. We are seizing the asset. Please remove your personal belongings. Megan, finally realizing what was happening, shrieked. No, you can't. This is harassment. We're being harassed. She pointed the camera right at the man. Everyone look, this man is harassing my family. The man just looked at her. Ma'am, you're live streaming a legal repossession. Richard started shouting, trying to unhitch the boat. The repo man's partner blocked him. It was all happening. Live, in front of hundreds of her followers. The facade was cracking in real time. The comments were brutal. Oh my God, he bought a boat. Didn't she have a GoFundMe? This is the boat from her TikTok. They are frauds. Megan's eyes darted between the boat, her father, and the phone, her influencer mask melting into pure, ugly panic. "Stop it! Stop it!" she wailed as the tow truck began to pull the trailer and her ski boat out of the water. The last thing we saw before the stream abruptly cut to black was my father, his face purple with rage, looking utterly defeated as his expensive toy was hauled away, leaving him and his influencer daughter standing on an empty dock. I closed the app. I didn't cheer. I didn't smile. I just took a long, slow breath. This wasn't revenge. This was gravity. After the live stream ended, my family's digital presence vanished. Megan's influencer account went private. My father's Facebook page was deleted. The GoFundMe was, of course, long gone. They had been exposed in the most brutal public way possible, and their shame was their silence. A few months passed. The noise finally stopped. The lake house was sold at auction. The harassment ended. The drama just dissolved. One night, Kellen was cooking dinner in our new apartment, a place I could easily afford now. I was on my laptop and I opened that old spreadsheet, the one where I had tracked every payment. The final total, at the bottom, $86,400. I stared at the number. It wasn't a debt anymore. It wasn't a sacrifice. It was just tuition. The price I had paid to learn who I was. I highlighted the entire sheet, all 24 months of meticulous tracking, and I hit the delete key, and I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not even happiness. Just light. I felt light. Life began to move forward. My work as a graphic designer felt creative again. I wasn't just working to pay someone else's bills. I was working to build my own life. Then one afternoon I got a text from an unknown number. My stomach still did that familiar little flip, but it wasn't a threat. It was one sentence. "Aunt Olivia, it's Sophia. I'm using a friend's phone. I miss you." My heart ached. She was 10. None of this was her fault. I texted back, "I miss you too, sweetie. More than you know." With Donna acting as a neutral intermediary, I arranged to see her. We met at a coffee shop, no parents, no drama, just me and my niece. She ran into my arms. We talked for an hour about school, about her art, about a video game she liked. We didn't talk about the house. We didn't talk about the boat. As we were leaving, she looked up at me. "Mom and Grandpa are still sad," she said quietly. I nodded. "I know, sweetie." "But I still love you," she said, as if it was a secret she was scared to admit. I knelt down. "I love you too. That part will never, ever change." As I watched her go, I finally understood. You can mourn the family you wished you had while still walking away from the one you got. Bloodline is a fact. It just states how you got here. But family is a choice. It's an action. It's a verb. It's a daily decision to show up with respect and love. And I'm finally choosing to build a family that chooses me back. A few weeks later, I started a small design blog. But I added a new section, creative finance. I started writing about my experience, not the specifics, but the feeling, the danger of financial enmeshment, the good daughter trap. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of people all sharing their own stories of being the backup fund. I'm not a victim anymore. I'm not even just a survivor. I'm a person who finally knows her own worth. And that's the only legacy that matters. If this story resonated with you, please share it. Maybe there's someone out there who needs to hear this, who needs to know they are not alone, and who needs to be reminded that choosing your own peace is not a sin. It's survival.